We coordinate our outfits today. We all decided to wear black, so I hope you guys enjoy.
What's up? It's Team NBL. I'm Music by Lucas.
And Lauren C. Ray, DJ video creator, DJ producer. Yeah. And today we have a very special guest. I'm sure you could tell because he's right in between us.
Yes.
Our son, Ellis. We adopted you.
He's killing it right now in music. He's got a bunch of big releases on Future House Music, millions of streams on Spotify, performed multiple times at ADE, had his own masterclass, and you're super young.
When did you start producing? What DAW do you use? These are the things that we need to know.
So I started producing about 4 years ago, I think now, maybe 3 or 4. I started in GarageBand,
nice.
Which obviously you can only get so far on. But I currentently use Logic Pro X.
Yes.
Obviously, that is the only one you should be using.
Yeah. There's actually he has roommates here too, and they're producers, and everyone in this house uses Logic.
This is a Logic house.
I've never experienced so much Logic love in my life.
If you use Logic, comment below so that we can figure out who else there is out there. But if you
join the club.
Yeah, join the club. You go to music school. Did you go to college?
College after high school, which was a performing arts college.
Okay.
They did acting, musical theatre.
Nice.
But
I studied music technology there, which is basically
what do
you learn how to produce as well.
Okay.
I guess you learn the basics and mixing, all that sort of stuff.
But do you learn EDM directly, or is it more accessible?
It's more I don't know, mixing a vocal, learning how things should fit in your tracks, but also the live stuff, kind of live mixing with, say if you were going to record a band live or something like that, which is good, but obviously it wasn't specifically what I wanted to do.
Were you already into Future House or EDM at that point?
Okay.
So when I first started, which was 3 or 4 years ago, that was basically when I properly started producing.
Did you go into music school thinking that it was going to be EDM?
Yeah, I guess I did. Because there was a guy who was in either the 2 years above me or 3 years above me, who I just knew of. And he went to the same school, and he was sick, so I wanted to be like him.
Okay.
And to be fair, it did teach me a lot, and I met obviously the guys I live with now. Yeah. And we all produced together.
Would you actually recommend going to music school of some type, or at least college with kind of a focus on music?
Yeah, because if you're interested in that sort of thing, I think it's definitely worth investing your time into it.
What do you think was the #1 thing you learned, or what do you think were things that you learned from music school that you couldn't have learned on your own, or that you wouldn't have thought about, something like that?
Yeah.
But it's actually getting hands-on, if you're how do I use a compressor?
Yeah.
Your teacher can just come over and be like, well, you need to put it on this.
Yeah.
Why is it not on that? Why have you put it on your clap? You don't need a compressor when you clap.
Right.
Stuff like that is hands-on, really good knowledge, but also going out of my comfort zone as well.
Yep.
Obviously, I produce house music mostly.
Yeah.
But being there, we had a really sick part-time teacher. I think he came in halfway through my time there, and he taught us a lot of jazz and funk.
Oh, cool.
And it's teaching us how to come out of our comfort zone, and it was really that was really helpful.
Yeah, I went to film school in New York before I started doing anything in film, and the #1 thing I always say is that it just gives you a little bit of confidence because you feel you're not completely don't know anything. You kind of at least know a little bit about everything, even if it's not necessarily what you go into.
Yeah.
When do you first start seeing signs of success, or when are you finally okay, this is pretty good music that I'm making?
Oh, I don't know. I remember when I first started, BOA, it was called, the school.
Got it. Shout out.
I was just starting to finish tracks properly, and that's when I was okay, I can actually finish a track now. But back then it was taking me 6 months to try and finish it. So then when I actually started finishing stuff, then I actually started putting it out on Soundcloud for free. I had no idea what I was doing, just putting it out.
Yeah.
And this random label was just can we release it? One of the songs that I put out, which was called Blink, which was the first proper track that I put out, and that was what? Song contract.
You were yes.
And so that was pretty sick.
Nice.
And then from then on, I started producing more of the future bounce stuff when it came in.
Right. Who was the influences there, you think?
Well, it's obviously Mike Williams.
Yeah.
Because he was the guy who started the whole thing, really.
Yeah.
So I made a track called Mojito, which is like really like happy, melodic, like.
Sounds like it.
Just like after you drank a mojito.
Yeah.
We did it. We did it.
Got a message on SoundCloud from the guys at Future House Music. One of the guys were like, "Can we release it on our sub label On the House?" Which at the time
I remember
was like,
that label. Yeah. Big
when
one.
all these sick artists were releasing on there, so I was like, yeah, definitely.
And now
that's when I was like, this is like really.
Yeah,
like,
and
sick.
I remember hearing Mojito as well.
You
yeah.
do?
Yeah.
Do you know what?
Now that you said it was on the house,
You know
I'm
what?
like, yes, I know that
The
song.
other day, I was scrolling through my SoundCloud messages. I went right down to the bottom because I was trying to find.
Did you find a
really
message
old
from me?
And I found a message from you.
That's how it goes. Like, you never know where the people you message or talk to or whatever are going to end up. Like, I didn't even know that was you until now, and now I'm connecting the dots. Like, what the?
Yeah, it's really mad.
So you went to music school, so once you're out of it, you're like, I'm just going to pursue music, or were you like, I kind of need a backup plan and have another career? Because you said you kind of knew, okay, it's serious, but before I was kind of just, were you just like hoping? Or?
So yeah, I always used to think before I went to music college, like, oh, I'll be fine. I don't need to worry. I'm going to music college. I'm going to come out as a professional producer. But no, at the end of college, I was like, I'm going to take a gap year and just work on music.
Yeah.
Because you've got to give it. If you want to do it, you've got to give it your time.
Yeah.
To see if if it works. You can't say you've tried if you haven't.
That's right.
You've got to the point now where you've gotten success on the tracks. We can speed up a little bit to like more towards now where you're dropping like a lot of really good future house style tracks. You've really found your niche and you're hitting it hard. You do things on drops that are very complicated, a lot of LFOs, a lot of like cool effects. What kind of, what is your technique with that? Like, what's like one of the Ellis tips that you would say for young producers that are trying to produce future house?
I just think keep producing tracks. If you don't know how to make like that sort of music yet, then remake other people's tracks, get as close as you can. But then obviously don't go like making tracks with all of those sounds. I think everyone starting out is going to start sounding like someone first.
Right.
And then after you've produced for a certain amount of time, you start to have your own ways of doing things, and that just shows in your music. But in terms of like complexity, like if you've ever watched like one of my masterclasses or anything, you'll see that I have way too many channels and tracks. Like it goes up to about 200.
Wow.
And like each track is like one snap or something.
Do you have like a template that you start with, or do you start with a blank?
Just blank, yeah.
Dang.
But I have like my own sample pack that I just have in my bookmarks.
That's all your stuff that you've downloaded?
Yeah,
over time?
it's like stuff that I've downloaded, made, everything over the past 4 years.
That's really important because that will help. I mean, like you create your own sound. I think that's what a lot of people think that it's to save you time, but it's also to create your own sound, because when you reuse certain sounds or twist certain sounds or whatever, people hear them again and again and they're like, oh, that's Ellis sound.
I've noticed as well, listening to a lot of music critically, that it's a subconscious thing sometimes. Just listening to a track, you think, oh, that sounds like Brooks, and you're like, why? And then if you listen really closely, it's because maybe there's like a single like sample that he's put in there that is not something that you consciously notice, but it instantly makes you think that it's his sound.
Yeah.
I think that's really important as well.
Like you don't need to have your own genre. Like you don't have to create like future whatever. Like I have future trance, which is lucky for me, but you don't need to have your own genre. You can have your own twist on just like a genre that's already there with your own sounds that makes it unique.
And I think over time you'll just start making, your sound will develop to a point where it's just its own thing. It may be future house, but it won't sound like other people's in the end. Don't focus too much on staying unique, because that can be quite stressful, I think.
I think so too.
A lot of people get these young producers think, oh, I have to be unique. And they put all these really crazy sounds in which just maybe don't sound right. Just literally make your own music. It's really good sometimes as well to like go into the studio or wherever on your laptop and just turn the Wi-Fi off. Don't put any tracks in as references. Just make something that's without any influence.
Yeah.
And that's really useful.
What is the future of Ellis? What are your goals? What do you dream of? Where are you going?
What keeps you up at
night? Tell us everything.
Just sticking with a certain sound. Like I think this year I've experimented quite a bit with like some of the slower BPM stuff, like the funk stuff, the future house stuff, the house, and like even like pop.
Yeah.
I want to just focus, like narrow it down a little bit more next year.
What are you leaning towards? What's the sound?
More clubby stuff, I think.
Nice.
I've also got an alias called ELS, which is going to be like the really heavy stuff.
Nice.
The first release comes out early 2019.
Sick.
So that should be sick. But yeah, and also I'm working closely with a pretty cool label that most of you will know of. I'm not going to say, but and it's some cool plans for 2019.
You guys, if you were listening closely, you know exactly what Ellis did literally from leaving school to now, which is probably where a lot of you guys are. So listening to his story, you might know like where you should go from here. Because I think a lot of you guys ask those questions all the time of like, what do I do next? Or I'm worried, or I'm afraid, or I don't know. This is what he did. That's something to learn from his experiences, and you'll find your own too, I think.
And make sure you follow Ellis, check him out on his socials, hit him up. I think you have a radio show too.
Yes,
Essentials
Radio. If anyone has any submissions, by the way, if you go to my website, which is ellisofficial.co.uk,
there it is.
You can submit tracks there for me to listen to put on the radio show. Because I listen to all of those as well.
Thank you so much for coming on, Ellis.
Thank you for
letting us
around
into your gaff, as they say here in the UK.
Sure, subscribe. And we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Boy.
Laters. Is that what you guys say?
See you in a bit, like.
See you in a bit.
In a bit, love.